GM. GM. Okay, so we did a Lowen guide, and now I want to do a Santik guide because both of them are SSRs, and they are relatively important unit. And if you guys remember, when I said that, I'll deep dive both of them and one of them looks insane, the insane one actually is Santik. And that's not a pun, even though, he looks hella insane. But he is actually pretty insane. But let's understand what he does first, okay? First things first. His S3. His S3 gives you crit rate up, crit damage up, purifies 3 debuffs from all allies, and immediately grants himself 1 turn. Okay? This is a very important skill because him getting to crit activates his Frenzy Beat, which is his main exclusive passive and his gimmick. Okay? When an ally triggers a crit, restores HP equal to 20% of the damage dealt. The first crit is permanently increases all allies' crit damage by 5%, stack up to 20 times. So the longer your unit stays alive, the longer they crit, the more damage they do. So he ramps the game up pretty fucking fast, and even just getting 30% extra, 40% extra crit damage, which is like 4 or 5 turns. It's a lot of damage. Okay? But this is quite the skill. Alright? 45% chance to increase all enemies' skill by 1 turn and has 65% chance to increase crit rate down and effect accuracy down. This is no different from Lily's S3, where she can cooldown reset everyone. But the difference here is that Lily S3 is just the S3 that pushes a unit forward, right? The Twin Trick unit. Whereas for him, why it's more powerful on him is because he is also purifying debuffs and giving your team a lot more damage, okay? While reducing their crit rate and their accuracy, so them landing debuffs on your healers is going to get a lot more difficult. And his S1 also purifies, okay? Purifies the debuff, and if he crits, he dispels 2 debuffs from the most debuffed ally. Alright? That's his whole gimmick. Very, very simple kit. And Etheria has this thing where if the kit is super simplified, it's super easy to understand, that's when the unit is actually scary. And why is that? I'll give you the first example here. The first example I can give you was with the Kokardi and Aya banner. Aya's banner, if you look at Aya's skill is very, very simple to understand, right? S3 is push, S2 is a purify, and a little bit of healing, and S1 just cools down the skill. Very, very simple kit, but she is so powerful. And the same thing can be said for Santik, okay? Why is that? It's because he is more damage, more damage, and he gets to cool down skills and shell. This is very, very powerful. Why? It's because the meta has a lot of Ambers, and if you can, in that one rotation before the Amber unit moves, or if the Amber unit moved already and it's at the back of the turn meter bar, Santik moves, then you can just cool it down, nuke that unit down, Amber is never going to proc. Or what he does is, the way he provides tankiness is that if he goes first, and you have no immunity, he is going to cool down all your skills, okay? And then you are only left with S1, which means you need to wrap around one more time, which gives your team enough turns to ramp up the crit damage through Frenzy Beat and to demolish you, okay? Don't be fooled, because this may say it's a 4-turn cooldown, but it is actually a 3-turn cooldown, and this is because he goes S3 into S2 quite often, okay? And so I definitely recommend you get this to at least level 4, ideally level 5. Because if the quicker you can cycle this, the better it is for you. And to get him to level 4 means you are guaranteed an extra turn, okay? S2 is arguably his best skill, and S1 is just a normal damage thing. He does some damage because he unique crit rate on him, okay? So I don't want to spend too much time talking about his skills. I want to talk about how to build him, because he is a very, very unique character in the sense where there are so many ways you can build him. There's so many layers beneath how to build him. And so I want to go through a couple of frameworks, all right? And how do we do that? First things first, I'm going to show you how I built mine, because this is how I'm planning to use him. And this is the great thing about Santi. He is the most flexible unit in the game in terms of how you want to build him, because his skill can do a lot of things, and the way you build him can also dictate the way you're going to play him, right? First things first, this is what I'm running on him. I'm running him on Time Weave, okay? Because the quicker like I said, the more I can cycle S3, S2, S3, S2, I can actually make him more of a CC unit that eventually does a shitload of damage, okay? My total stats is here. 29k HP, 1.7k defense, 300 speed, I'll talk about that later, 100% effect accuracy, and I gave him some crit rate here. And my right side pieces, I'm running a HP bonus, an attack bonus, and a crit rate bonus. Where am I getting my effect accuracy from? Swift Smite and Time Weave. Okay, Time Weave gives you 18% effect accuracy, as you can see here. That's all I have on him, and whatever, you know, effect accuracy substats I have, all just gets jammed in. Okay, you can see. That's all my effect accuracy. No need too much, because it's only a 45% chance to land and 65% chance to land the crit rate down and the effect accuracy down. You don't have to, you know, tunnel 100% into effect accuracy. If you land, you're going to land anyway. And so that's all I really put on him. Now, the most important part is the speed here. Okay? The way I want to use Santik, and this is the way I'm playing him. You can play him however you want. Okay? If you just want to use it as a buffer to put crit rate up, crit damage up, go for it. You can also play him that way. Play him super fast. Play him faster than what I'm playing. But I use him, or I draft him when I see my opponent is starting to pick debuffers. And I need him to move after all the debuffers have already moved. Because if he moves first, he's not putting up immunity. He's not Lingluo. Okay? He's not Linfornio. He's not going to put immunity up. And so, that being said, I need the debuffers, who will be played by my opponents, to move first, to put all the debuffs so that I can cleanse it all off. Alright? 3 is actually not a bad number to debuff, I want to say. Okay? All obviously was ideal, but 3, if you think about it, Nahor himself is already 3, and Heinrich himself is already 3, and that is mostly the 2 units you'll see the most, and that's all that really matters. Of course, there's Obo there, but Obo, we don't talk about Obo here. He's all about dots plus stun, right? If your opponent is not going to layer debuffs, different kinds of debuffs. So let's say, for example, let's say your opponent goes with Plume plus Mari. Let's just put it at that. Plume herself is defense break weakness. Mari is res down plus petrify. That's 4. Okay? As long as you get rid of the petrify, the hard CC, your team is going to move. You're going to put crit rate up, crit damage up, and then you're going to, you know, lock them down. So he is very, very good at, you know, purifying everything of your units, because him by himself, it's just gonna be 3. And let's be real here, if you're playing if you're playing against CC, you're drafting him plus another healer of sort, or a purifier like a Sylph, like a Ling, or even a Sanya, because now he actually makes Sanya be able to cleanse off that one last pesky debuff, right? I'm playing him 300 speed because I found that that was the right amount of speed, where your opponent is playing like a 320 or 330 speed Plume, then into a 325 speed Mari, Nahor, whatever CC unit, insert CC unit here. And he is just right there, right next to them, about to move next. There is an argument to play him on Strive, but I have noticed when I tried him on Strive, Plume moves, he cuts, he purifies, and then the Mari, the whatever insert hard CC unit here, moves next. So that just messes up my turn sequence, and I didn't like that. So I swapped him over to Time Weave as the main set, with speed as the subset, so that I can get to about 300 speed. I also tried about 322 speed as my first initial build, and he was way too fast. Way too fast. There are some people who are playing Plumes a lot slower, and I didn't like that. Okay? And when they were playing them a little bit slower, they also had immunity on Plume. I noticed that. And so I chose to go down the slower route, where I'm a little bit slower, but at least if all the debuffs gets on me, I get to cleanse it. Now, why am I putting crit rate up on him and why do I have an attack piece here? It's because he can actually be a pseudo DPS. He's giving himself crit damage up, so this will be about 200 crit damage. He's going to get about 90 over crit, and then if he crits, which naturally you are going to do, he buffs his crit damage, right? And so this will eventually hit to about maybe 250 crit damage with like 2.6k attack. That's a good chunk. He hits for about 4 or 5k, I've noticed, on his S1, which is not bad, and it also purifies debuffs. And so Santik in himself, there are so many ways you can play him. You can play him as a debuffer, right? You can play him as a CC unit in the sense where he's constantly, resetting your skill cooldown increase non-stop. That can also work. I've seen people play him on Halloween. I've seen people play him on all kinds of stuff. I personally am using him as an actual debuff, actual purifier into a debuff. And so I'm playing him with Alicon as, recommended to begin with. Because if he moves, I get a pseudo next turn. Okay? In the sense where my team either gets fully cleansed of the actual CC, they get to move, and the opponent is not only doing S1s, which makes me relatively tanky, quote unquote. And so that's what I would like on him. There are many, many ways you can play him. This is one of the ways, and I kind of like this style. You can go about 280-ish speed as well, and run him on Bloodbath Strive. That could also work, because you can see my eye is at 281 on Bloodbath Strive, and that seems to work pretty well on her. You can also do that with Santik if you don't care about him critting at all. Okay, I care about him doing more damage, because when I'm trying to play against CC, they're already not very tanky to begin with, and so having just that one more DPS who is also a support helps me. Okay, I've played games. I'll show you a couple of games where Santik was the DPS, because the way I built him, he is allowed to play like that. Okay, and so doesn't matter if you don't have him on Bloodbath, you're not going to take a lot of damage from units anyway, and so having him on this is more than enough, because S1 is not going to kill him. And if he hits your opponent, if he crits, your opponent is he is going to get healed, and your ally is going to get healed as well. Now, who do you pair him well with? I've noticed that he works very, very well with like attack scaling DPS, and the first unit that I really like playing with is my Ho Yan, because Ho Yan now gets crit rate up, gets crit damage up, and gets lifesteal or healing of her crit, which means she can go back to full HP very, very quickly, and then she becomes a bit more stickier than she is, and I can actually, have this skill 2 cool down a lot faster than my opponent can kill her, and that's why I like her. And so attack scaling DPSs definitely pairs well with your Santik, and high damage output units that hits non-stop is also pretty damn good, like Ray Mary, Tiamat to an extent, Holdens to an extent, just your DPSs in general. Okay, that's how you should be playing Santik, or at least that is what I recommend, because there is no one size fits all for this guy. I can guarantee you this. He is the most flexible unit you ever made by Etheria Restart. The way you build him will highly depend on how you want to play him. Okay, but I've shown you what I've built, what I use, and my logic behind why I play him like this. Will it change in the future? 100% it will. I don't know how it will change yet, so I cannot give you the answer of future me when I'm going to rebuild him. But this is working for me right now, and I like it like this. Okay, but that's it. That's the video. Hopefully you found value. I'm gonna cut here. We'll go to some RTA clips and some banging music, and that will be it. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you in the next one, and roll the clip.